Hello, everyone. This is the Movie Night Society, and we're talking about The Amazing Spider-Man 2, uh, which I actually, okay, I just want to say right off the bat, I watched the movie twice
Oh, twice, huh?
because I thought that we might have had time to do this recording last week. So I watched it like Sunday last week. And then we had to push it back to this week. So I didn't want to uh, not remember anything. I wanted it to be fresh in my mind. So I watched it again a little more passively. But I did take notes on the second watch. I I think if anyone's watching, we talked about the first Amazing Spider-Man movie, and we didn't really like it. I kind of hate it. I think
Yeah,
you gave it like a 2, I think,
I don't even
or
remember.
5. I'm
I,
not
I'm
even.
not I'm not a huge fan of the Amazing Spider-Man one either.
Yeah, I'm definitely not.
I
Uh,
don't think I dislike it as much as you, but I am not a fan. I was never really a big fan of it, honestly.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's kind of like a bore. I think is
Yeah, I
like a
think that's
big problem with the movie.
its biggest sin is it's just we find it boring.
Yeah. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 though is like on this whole other it's such a different movie, just like tonally and just
Oh yeah,
what I feel like it's going for. It's like a completely different person directed it, but it's
the
still
same.
Mark Webb.
I think a lot of this had to do with, and I think we touched up about, a little bit about this when we talked about the Amazing Spider-Man. Is like the time these movies came out. The Dark
Yeah.
Knight was big, and I think it had a big influence on especially comic book movies after it came out. And it's like, oh, people want darker comic book movies, and those Sam Raimi movies were so campy and lighthearted. So let's make Spider-Man a bit more darker and edgy. And
Yeah.
then like after this, like 2020, not 2020, 2012, the Avengers came out. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe actually people want comic book movies to be a little bit more fun and lighthearted, actually, and a little bit more colorful. That's what just timeline wise seems to be
Yeah.
like what a lot of people think. And I just gotta say, I have fun watching this movie, which I cannot say
Oh,
about the Amazing Spider-Man one.
yeah. I completely agree. I I I mean I watched it twice. I would not have watched the movie twice if it wasn't an enjoyable movie. Uh However, I do have to say there were many times while watching the movie, both times, where I just said to myself, "This is it. This is the worst fucking movie ever made." Like this, I'm still baffled at how many bad creative decisions are in this movie alone.
Yeah, quite
Like
a bit.
it's incredible. Like I just can't believe it.
Or
Uh,
amazing.
it's amazing. Uh, yeah, should we call this the not so amazing Spider-Man 2? I think we made that joke last time. I
Did
think
we?
everyone's made that joke.
We can definitely say that about the first one. This one's amazing, but like in a different kind of way.
Yeah, it really is amazing. Like I could not believe my eyes at
Couldn't
times.
believe my
My
eyes.
eyes. It was so bad. Like, oh my god. And I'll say I want to see if you can guess what it is. Like not right now, but just like in your head. There was a moment in this movie that I fucking lost it. I was laughing so hard at this one moment
That could be
that
so many moments. That's the problem. That could be so many moments.
I I, I don't think I laughed like as hard at it as I did like with Find Me Some Shade from Spider-Man 3.
That's just great.
Like that scene, that moment of us watching that and me
Will
just
be
like laughing so
forever a
hard.
cherished moment.
Yeah, laughing so hard I fell out of my chair. Like nothing's gonna top that, but this moment I thought was so funny. I was laughing so hard that I couldn't pay attention to the next scene. I like missed all the dialogue in the next scene, and I had to
Wow.
rewind it. And I was like, I might as well rewind that part that made me laugh. And then I did it like 3 more times after that. So it
Wow.
was
I have
pretty
no idea what it could be. I really
real.
don't, because
Okay,
there's so many like scenes that could be in this movie.
yeah, this is
So
a really
I
like
don't know what that would be.
this is kind of like a great like so bad it's good movie in
Oh yeah.
a lot of ways.
Oh yeah.
I feel like you don't really get so bad it's good movies on like this level, like this budget,
Yeah.
too
Mm.
often, and you gotta cherish those moments. Should we like go kind of beat by beat of the movie?
Sure. Yeah, why not?
Okay, well, oh my god, it starts off. I want to read my notes too,
Start yeah.
that I wrote.
The whole
Uh,
plot with the parents, which who cares?
that
The same way in the first one, who
I
cares?
literally wrote the opening scene sucks. Who
Yeah,
cares
who
about Peter's
cares?
dad? It
Yeah, I know.
like it's so it's so cheesy and not in like a good way. It's cheesy in the way that it's like this is taking itself way too seriously. Like what is even going on? Who cares about Peter's dad? Like he gets more screen time than like Uncle Ben
I know.
between these movies. Like Uncle
Yep.
Ben's not even in this movie. Is he? Did I miss it?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's like what the
Yeah,
hell?
I never cared for because I'm pretty sure like the whole thing with his parents is taken out of the Ultimate comics, trying to make them more relevant. Just and I
Okay.
never really I'm pretty sure that's what they're getting this from. Is the Amazing Spider-Man series seems a lot more influenced by the Ultimate comics, especially I believe in the Ultimate comics, Peter and Eddie Brock's dad worked on it like a cure for cancer and made the Venom suit as a
Okay.
result. So that's like kind of like what happens here, like with the spiders and like all the other stuff, like trying to make cures. So I was like, this is pretty much taken right from the Ultimate comics. Um,
Right. And
so
I should say we're gonna spoil the movie like the whole
yeah,
way
we're
through
going to
this.
talk about the whole movie. So spoilers if you haven't
Yeah.
seen the Amazing Spider-Man 2 for some reason.
Not that I think there's really only one moment that people would care about being spoiled.
Yes. And I really would only be if you just know nothing about Spider-Man,
Yeah.
like the
See,
mythos.
I didn't know anything about Spider-Man
Yeah,
really before
just the
this. So
movies. Like if you're
it did,
only a
yeah.
movie watcher, you'd have no idea that this would probably happen.
Yeah. So I remember this moment. We'll get to it. But I do remember it like actually kind of like uh shocking me at the time. Like I wasn't expecting it. But yeah, so this opening scene where like Richard Parker uh is like on a plane and the there's like someone trying to kill him on the plane and this guy like walks out of the cockpit after killing the pilot and like literally just like has blood on his hands and washes them right in front of Richard.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
He
I hope
doesn't
he
go
doesn't notice that I have blood all over my hands. Hope he
it's
doesn't
like
notice that.
I think the idea was supposed to be like Peter's mom is in the bathroom
Yeah, I think he
and like
locks
maybe
it from the outside. That's what it seemed like.
he did some I don't even
I'm pretty sure he
remember.
locked the door like from the outside because she like tries to get out when she hears the commotion and it's locked or something. Why would it be
Something,
on the
yeah.
outside? Okay,
I
sure, movie.
Yeah, whatever. This movie has so many moments where it's just like, wait a minute, like
I don't
wait,
know.
that doesn't make any sense.
Just go
Uh,
with it. Just go with it. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
yeah, like the whole conflict of this entire scene is Richard is trying to upload something to a remote
I
computer
think the
somewhere.
recording he did,
Yeah,
Peter eventually finds like explaining
but
why.
how does he do this? How does he have
I
like
don't know.
Wi-Fi on this plane? I mean, I guess you can have Wi-Fi on a plane, but it was like, what? How are you like uploading something that quickly, for one thing.
Why didn't he
But like
upload it before he got on
is
the
this
plane?
so yeah, why is this so like important?
Yeah,
Uh it's like literally just a Deus Ex Machina kind of
pretty
for
yeah,
like
pretty much.
for Peter to just find it later
Yeah.
in the movie, and it has no bearing on the plot whatsoever.
Nope.
There's so many scenes in this movie. If I'm like just
I
remembering,
think actually technically does have something to do with the plot. Like if you want to talk about that later, just talk about that now. I think like the only thing it has to do, like you want me to tell it, like talk about that right now or
yeah,
later.
we might as well. Yeah.
I think the only thing that has to do is like in that video that he recorded, he revealed that the spiders that they worked on and everything, like it only would work with his blood. So I think it was just to show like if Harry gave
Oh,
himself
is that what
Spider-Man's
he
blood or something, then it would not work. Like
is that
that,
what he said? I
yeah,
I
pretty
honestly
much.
was so distracted by this actor because like in the recording, he sounds exactly like Jigsaw from the Saw movies. He had,
What?
he had
Really?
doesn't he? I don't know. It was like it was weird because I think I went to my computer to like take a note or something, and I was like, is that like Jigsaw? Like what the fuck? It was so weird. Like I don't know. He sounds so much like Jigsaw,
Hmm.
just like raspy kind of Peter. I don't know. It was so strange. So I don't think I was really paying attention to what he said at all. But like
Yeah, I think that's
I
all
don't
it was
know.
really for.
I took the whole blood thing as just like it's like random. Like it's just like a any kind of chemical or experiment. Like there's a chance it could work, there's a chance it can't. That's all I took it for. So
Yeah,
I
well, you think,
completely
but
missed that line.
yeah, I I just have a problem with it too because it's like okay, so like the spider biting Peter, like it only would have turned him into Spider-Man essentially.
Yeah, someone else could have gone in there and they
Yeah, and
would
then
have
they would
just
have just
turned
died if they
into
got
a
bit.
spider monster.
Yeah, yeah, it's like it's almost like it was made for Peter in a sense, and I am not a fan of that. I like the idea of
Yeah,
just Peter was in the
the,
wrong place at the wrong time or right place at the
yeah.
right time and got bit by the spider. It was
That's
just
what makes the
chance.
character so great is that like nothing about Spider-Man really feels like this grandiose like he's like a chosen one kind of
Yeah,
thing.
and this kind of
That's
makes
what
them like that.
yeah, it's like, oh, my dad was like the guy who created all of this, all
Yeah,
these experiments that like create all these villains. And it just feels like I don't know, it just feels lame in comparison to oh, Peter's just like an ordinary kid, basically.
yeah,
Yeah, it's so lame. But like,
yeah.
oh
This
god,
whole like trying to connect like everything to Oscorp and all that,
yeah,
like just Oscorp's behind everything that goes wrong. It's like
yeah,
like they're like there were the results of like a lot of things that go wrong up in the comics and stuff, but not everything like in these movies. I don't even think
yeah,
in the Ultimate Comics they're responsible for like everything. Maybe a lot of stuff. I don't know. I'm not like as well versed in the Ultimate Comics, but at least
yeah. And
like the movies, obviously,
I
it's just trying
also
to make.
don't like how the villains are portrayed in these movies either, because in the Raimi films, it's very much like again, sort of wrong place, wrong time, or just like accidental, like this person becomes a villain through some like kind of extraordinary circumstance, but there's no like master grand plan behind it. Uh, and like even in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, like we get the Sinister Six like set up at like toward the end, and it just feels so like forced.
Yeah,
Um, but like I don't know, I don't like Oscorp as this like weird organization that like Peter has to take down, and there's like corrupt people in it. I liked in Spider-Man 3 it was like it's just a business. It's just like it's just a science business, and that's like it, you
yeah,
know? And things happen to go wrong. That
hmm
makes it feel like much more like you can connect with it. Uh and it that's another thing I like about the villains and the other in I don't know, they feel like ordinary people, in this, I don't know. It just everything feels too much like like too written, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, this
Everybody
opening
relevant in
scene,
these movies are connected to Oscorp. Like everybody relevant, villains,
yeah,
good guys. So yeah, not a fan of Oscorp being just involved in everything.
yeah, and like honestly, even in the Raimi films, it did feel like there were times, like we talked about in Spider-Man 2, where you're kind of like, oh yeah, like everyone's kind of connected in this, but it all worked. It's something about it, like they made sure everything had like a logical like reasoning, like, oh, okay, you know, Doc Ock talks to Harry because he needs the tritium, and like
Yeah,
Harry already
I mean,
has
you
this
could say like Oscorp
Spider-Man, and
was involved in that, but they just funded Otto's research. Like, if it wasn't for the
yeah,
funding, they'd have nothing. It wasn't like their research. It was just
yeah,
they funded it. That's like that was all Oscorp really had to do with after Spider-Man 1, essentially.
yeah. I mean, and I don't know. We shouldn't compare this movie to the Raimi films too much, or else we're gonna be here forever.
That's true.
Uh,
These videos
but
get long enough as is sometimes.
yeah. Spider-Man 2 and 3 were like our longest ones. But yeah, this whole opening scene with the plane was just like so ridiculous. Like it's so
Yeah, I was just
over
waiting
the
for it to
top.
be done. Just like move on. Who cares?
Yeah.
No one cares about this plot. Doesn't even
I
feel
mean,
like the movie cares half the time about it either.
it feels like the movie doesn't care half the time about anything it's doing. Like, to be honest. Uh
Yeah, I do have to
um
say though, like the next scene, like the next like several scenes after the plane, and it's just
what before we move on from the plane, can I just say, like, Peter's mom's death is treated with like no dignity or respect or any
yeah,
kind
she's
of
just kind of
fanfare.
yeah, it's just
She's
oh
just
okay,
dead.
yeah,
It's like cool.
yeah,
Like even Peter's dad doesn't really react to it.
yeah.
He's
It's
just
like a
like,
sad
"Oh,
look.
I guess you're
Oh
dead."
no,
It's so
my
lame.
wife. Oh no, guess this is the end. Goodbye.
Yeah. Uh, so so lame.
Yeah,
But I yeah, you were saying this next scene is actually pretty
yeah. When it
fun.
shows Spider-Man and he's doing the chase,
Yeah,
with Paul
I
Giamatti as the Rhino driving this truck, and he has to like catch all these things and everything. Like that was actually like I thought a pretty fun scene. Like okay, this feels like it's Spider-Man.
yeah. Yeah, it's actually like a pretty fun scene. Uh I wrote down in my notes the only like, I mean, there's like a couple things that are kind of like dumb. Uh okay, well, Spider-Man, there's a part where Spider-Man like really just lets like three cars just like get
Oh yeah,
totaled.
pretty much.
And it's like there's like people there in the cars, right? Like they're
I
just like in
I
the
think
middle of the
so.
intersection. Like
Yeah,
what?
they're probably
He
just
didn't do
dead.
anything to save them. Like it just felt really strange.
Yeah, it's like oh that sucks, but I gotta take care of this. Sorry.
Yeah, and then like after that, Max almost gets hit by the car. Max Dillon,
Yeah, accident.
who is Electro, played by Jamie Foxx, who I feel really bad for while watching this
He
movie.
got his redemption in No Way Home.
Yes, yeah, I was very like, because I like Jamie Foxx as an actor, and like it was nice to see like, okay, you're not like this, I don't know, in this like terrible movie. Uh,
But yet we get such a great line from him.
wait, in this scene?
Not in this scene, but
Okay, in the next scene, uh,
soon.
like Spider-Man saves him and takes like a whole minute to like reassure him and be like, I need you out here, man. You're my eyes and
Nice and
ears.
ears.
It's like, dude, you just let like three cars get like completely fucked. Like, why aren't you stopping the Rhino? Why? It's like
And
so
he's got to
ridiculous.
establish his 1 minute conversation with Electro first, of course.
Yeah, their relationship is so well developed in this movie.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna say every relationship in this movie I hated. Uh, okay, well, except for one, but it's still kind of bad. But we'll get to it.
I think I might know which one you're talking about.
Okay. Well, okay. So, yeah, if Spider-Man saves Max, and what happens after? Okay, in my notes, I wrote down that like the Rhino, every cop in New York is apparently here, and like they all pile up on each other,
What is
and
this?
it's
The
like
Dark
what?
Knight Rises?
Yeah, it's
Every
just like
cop here?
why is every cop trying to like stop this truck? Like it doesn't, like why? Like it's so bizarre, and they're all going the same way. Like what the fuck? Sorry, this movie is just like
The only way to do it,
it's
man.
so
We
funny.
all got to
It's
go the
so
same
funny to
way.
me.
Barricades or getting ahead of them? Nah, forget that. We all just gotta come from behind and just go fast. That's how they do it.
And then there's some pretty funny moments in this scene. I liked when Peter gets hit by the car and he's just like kind of like stuck to the front of it. And then he gets like a call from Gwen, and it's like, I'm on my way, and there's like the graduation ceremony is going on, and he's late. Uh, and like she asks him like, oh, like where are you? He's like, oh, Fifth and Broadway, Sixth and Broadway, like Seventh and Broadway, like just really fast because he's like on this car. I thought that was funny. Uh, and then like Peter is apparently having visions of Gwen's dead dad, and he like looks over at like this police car that's next to him and like
Yeah.
sees the dad there.
Like,
And then it does
you
this, like,
remember your
great-
promise, don't you? How
Yeah,
dare
and then
you
it-
be talking to my daughter? You promised me.
and then it does this like great comedy like edit, like just cut away from that to like the guy he's actually looking at, and just like the guy's face.
It's like,
just,
what, dude?
cracked
What?
me up. Yeah, he's like, what the fuck are you looking at me for?
Like, hi, how you doing? Why are you looking at me?
But yeah, so even after the end of the last movie, where Peter was like, oh, like fuck your dad's promise, like let's like make out or whatever, and like it's just like now he's like suddenly more like it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't
That
like
was like this whole
continue from the
movie is
last
like,
movie.
I really want to keep the promise to your dad, but I'm gonna keep like seeing you and keep, I don't know, acting like your boyfriend, and then like, oh, but no, we can't do this. I can't be around you. And then he just, I
Oh
don't know,
yeah,
she like just called like, oh, let's be friends. It's like, yeah, totally. I'm in love
yeah.
with you.
Every scene with them, I just wanted Gwen to die. I just
Well,
like
there you
I
go.
was like,
You got your wish.
I was like,
Spoilers.
when is it gonna happen? Like just get to it already. Because it was so like every scene with them
Yeah.
was just like a, oh, are we still together or like are we not?
Yeah,
It's just
maybe
like,
this
dude,
was like the one thing Amazing Spider-Man did better is I didn't want to fast forward through all their conversations as much in that one as I did in this, because that's pretty
yeah,
much all their conversations.
yeah, it's so bad. Uh yeah, because I liked their relationship in the last movie. I thought they were pretty like charming, cute together, like very natural. They had chemistry. And then in this movie, it's like they still have chemistry, but it's like every scene that they're in is just like a just I don't know, just fucking. It's not like in the Raimi films. We're gonna go back to the Raimi films real quick, but like the back and forth in that relationship was very much like I don't know. It just worked more dramatically. Like it wasn't like every scene was like that. And this just like they ran out of ideas for these characters. It's bad.
Yeah,
Uh,
not very good. That's for sure.
yeah, but it's hilarious every time that Peter sees Gwen's dad just standing there.
You promised. You promised.
Yeah, it's it's so lame. Uh, and then yeah, he stops the Rhino and gets to the graduation ceremony, and Gwen's like, "Are you going to join us for dim sum later?" And he's like, yeah, of course, I'll be there. And then just like sees Gwen's dad, like a ghost Gwen dad, and is like, oh wait, no, I'm having second thoughts about this.
I made a
And it's
promise.
like,
I see
and
him
the way that
everywhere I
the
go.
way that Peter says it, I thought actually kind of worked. You know, he was like, I'm like keeping the, I'm like, I promise to like keep you safe and like, you know, stay away from you, like to your dad, but then I'm like having dinner with your family. Like I thought like, okay, that's reasonable to think that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't know, the movie like didn't need to like harp on that or something. Like it could have just nipped that in the bud and just been like Gwen reassures him and then he's like, okay, you know, I'll try. Uh but no, it's just like it has to have this like crappy like melodramatic
Mm-hmm.
soap opera like romance shit and it's so lame. And then uh Gwen tells Peter, I break up with you.
I was gonna
Not
mention that.
I'm breaking up with you.
I break
I
up with
break
you
up with you.
twice. Like I break up with you.
Like
I break up with you.
I didn't even understand. Is it supposed to be like cute or like a joke?
I don't know. It's funny too because when I talked to Aaron the other day and like I didn't watch the movie all in one go. I watched like the first I think 20 minutes and then like watched the rest like the other day or I
Uh-huh.
finished it today. But um I like I had just watched that scene and I told him I just like repeated that scene and it was like stellar dialogue. Just great stuff there. That sounds like something an elementary kid, like two elementary kids who are like think they're in a relationship would say, like, I don't
Yeah,
like you anymore. I break up with you.
I
Like
break up with you.
yeah, not something an adult would say to another adult and not, I don't know,
Yeah.
me like joking or something, she's serious.
Yeah, and the scene is played seriously too. It doesn't
Yes.
feel like
So
it is a joke.
I don't know what it's supposed to be. I don't know if it's like you said, it's supposed to be cute or I don't know. It's just very strange choice of dialogue. Just
Yeah.
say I'm breaking up with you. Just say it normally. Say it like a normal person. You know?
Yeah. So it's so lame.
Yes.
I also just I still don't like that it's like the last movie the ending was Peter's going to go through with this even though he made this promise to her dad. And then this movie is like, "Oh no, wait, no. He's actually going to ruminate on it." It's like I don't know, the way this again, the Raimi films when they ended on something in the last movie, they like stuck with it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They like followed through with that idea. And in this, it's just like, oh, well, I guess we have to have some kind of conflicts with Gwen and Peter, even though you really don't.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they thought there needed to be this like conflict about Gwen's going to Oxford in England and all this shit. Like, what's the point? Why not just have them have a normal relationship and then it would give them more time to focus on the villains and developing other things in the movie because this movie has three different villains, but really two, but just like
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know
what's
why
the
that was in there too, because like it's kind of like what you said. You could completely take it out and really
yeah
not miss anything because like I don't know if it was just there because you think they
because it
would use
doesn't
that.
create any tension or like drama for Gwen dying.
No. And I don't really get why it had to be in there because you would think that maybe they were using that like okay, like if she's not in like the same place all the time, like Peter can kind of move on from her, but he's just like, oh, now I'm just gonna follow you. It's like, well, why couldn't you just have done that like without her moving to a different country? I don't know.
No,
It was
it,
just maybe it was to make her death more sad. Like, oh, she was gonna go to this nice college. Oh no, I don't
she
know.
was so smart.
Yeah, she was
Like
so
what?
smart.
Yeah, what are we?
Like, oh, we didn't know that. Thanks, movie.
Yeah, what are we supposed to be? I mean, like I don't know. Gwen dying is like a sad idea, but just the way it's executed in this movie, no pun intended, but like it is like what are we supposed to feel about her? Like what's her character? What's the drama of the movie? You know, like sure, Peter is in love with Gwen, and like we feel bad for Peter because he like lost his love, but that's it. Like that's not really anything substantial, I feel. Like for Spider-Man. Like if Mary Jane died in the Raimi films, it would have been like completely devastating, I feel. One, because like I feel like she had more of a character. But like I don't know, she died in 2 or something. It would have been like, oh, they never really got to be together, you know? Something. Like there needs to be some kind of real drama and not just, oh, I might go to a different state or not state, country and go to college there. Like and then his decision later is just like, I'm just gonna go to London with you. So it's like and I thought of that right away. I was like, why doesn't Peter just go with her? Like what's keeping him here in New York? It doesn't feel like, again, the Raimi films were like the New York was like such a huge part of like the feel and personality of the movies too.
Yeah. Which
and
is
like
very
Spider-Man was like Spider-Man was like an icon there. Like it wouldn't have mattered if he moved in this movie. It doesn't feel like it'd be a big deal.
Yeah.
Which I really missed in this movie. That like just New Yorkers and stuff. Like even the first movie, the first Amazing Spider-Man movie had more of it, I felt.
Yeah.
Just so weird. Anyway, their relationship in this is like terrible.
Yeah, not a fan.
Yeah. And then I don't know. Peter decides to just do some Spider-Man stuff, and I don't know.
I gotta say, I love the suit. The Spider-Man suit in this movie looked great.
Oh yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, big fan of it.
Yeah, and I liked that a lot of it was practical or like a real suit. Because I feel like in the newer ones, the MCU ones, they like do some kind of CGI overlay or something afterwards.
Oh yeah,
it looks kind of fake.
Yeah.
It's nice in these ones that if it's like it's there.
Yep.
The actors in the suit.
I agree. Yeah, and this suit looked really good. Big step up from the first movie's suit, which I know a lot of people hated. I was like okay with it. But I really I'm a big fan of the suit in this movie. It's probably like my second favorite after the Sam Raimi ones.
Yeah, it looks good. Okay, well we get
say that really quick.
Yeah. Well we get Electro in his apartment, and
the greatest line in the movie.
Yeah, he baked a cake for himself or bought it, I don't know. And just he's like clearly delusional and has like this like parasocial relationship with Spider-Man, where he's like too attached.
He's a big Spider-Man fanboy, essentially.
Yeah, even though, is it because he saved him or
no? I'm pretty sure like he had all that stuff there before.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure.
He keeps saying like, out of all the people in the city, like Spider-Man saved me, even though Spider-Man saves lots of people like right in the same scene. But he's delusional. I can buy it, whatever. But yeah, he says it's Spider-Man. He has like a fake conversation in like just by himself, but it's with Spider-Man.
Yes.
Spider-Man baked me a cake. Spider-Man baked him a cake.
That's so nice of him.
And then he also name drops the Amazing Spider-Man, which was dumb.
Gotta have him doing that, of course.
Yeah. But it's just like, okay, I guess it's to establish like a relationship, like how Electro is, but it still feels kind of pointless.
You know what I kind of liked? How they tried to take, you know how nothing goes right in the Sam Raimi trilogy for Peter, especially like Spider-Man 2, like just everything he does, things go wrong. They took that and just cranked it up to like 1,000,000 with Max.
Yeah,
Where it's
it
like
was.
you just feel really sorry for him. Like nothing goes right for this guy. Like it's almost comedic.
Yeah, but I mean, it feels like it is supposed to be comedic, but I don't know. It doesn't feel. I don't know. It reminded me of the Joker in the new Joker movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just like, again, he has like a parasocial relationship where he's like obsessed with like a celebrity in a sense, and then yeah, ends up hating him. Uh, and he thinks like the world is like against him and all this stuff, and that he's not seen. But Joker did it much better, obviously, and it was the
Oh yeah,
focus of that movie.
like the
But like,
Electro turns real quick against Spider-Man in this.
yeah, for no real reason, he forgot his name for like a second,
And he took
even though he
the
looks like a
away.
completely. He doesn't look like Max at all anymore. He's Electro.
Yeah, I got upset about that. Also seemed like he was upset that like all the cameras and stuff were on him. It's like, oh, people are seeing me. I'm being seen. And then they like switch to Spider-Man and he gets jealous.
Yeah, it's,
Like,
so dumb.
oh, it's all about you now and not me. Oh,
Yeah,
you're not so great. I don't like you anymore. That's essentially what it is.
yeah, it is. It's so
Yeah.
lame. Like I can't.
I remember thinking like when I first saw this too, it just like I mean you can say he's just like very antisocial and everything, but I also just think like is this guy supposed to have mental issues? Because that's also
I,
what it seems like to me.
I think so, but it's also weird how he really doesn't act that way after he becomes Electro. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And like I could see like a progression or something, but it doesn't feel like there's a progression. It feels like a switch, you
Yeah.
know?
He completely changes.
Yeah.
But just yeah,
Um,
very like strange behavior. It's like you said, especially with the switch as soon as he gets his powers.
yeah. Yeah.
It
It's
doesn't feel natural. It feels like he just needs to be a
I mean
villain now.
everything in this movie feels
It
so
feels unnatural.
rushed.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like we need to just give the basic amount of information for everything that happens. Uh just so that you understand what's happening, but we're also going to throw in pointless scenes. Again, like the Spider-Man, you baked me a cake scene and
Oh, that's such a great line. Such a
the
great
opening
line.
scene.
I love it.
And then in my notes I wrote, why the fuck do we need to see Peter and Aunt May argue about doing the laundry? Like why? What was the point of that whole
Uh,
scene?
I think if I remember, she was doing some type of nursing job and she didn't want Peter to know about it. So she had the clothes in the washing machine and Peter was going to use it and she really didn't want him to see it. So she's like,
Did
no,
that ever
I'll do the
did that
laundry.
ever come back?
I think she ends up telling him like later in the movie when they argue, but I don't know why it was like, why does she have to keep this a secret?
It could have been cut out of the movie
Yeah,
entirely.
pretty much.
Like we see her at the hospital like later when the power goes out in the whole city, and
Yeah,
then it goes back on, and
pretty
then she's like,
much.
"Oh, thank God we got power!"
Yeah,
And then she's out of the movie. It's like it doesn't matter
yeah.
at all.
I don't know like what the point of like the whole trying to keep it a secret thing because like okay, I like hey Uncle Ben's gone now. I have to get a second job to help do things.
Yeah, it's
It's
just a
like
repeat.
okay, that's fine. Like what's like why would anyone need to keep that a secret? Like oh Peter wouldn't approve of me doing this. Like why wouldn't he? You're just
Yeah,
what
and it's
getting a
like,
second job to help pay for bills because now Uncle Ben's gone. I
and it just doesn't make any sense because like they're in the same house. It's not like in the Raimi films where Peter was like living on his own,
yeah
and Aunt May was more just like, I don't want Peter to worry,
yeah.
but I'll still tell him like what's going on. Uh, he finds the letter of the foreclosure or whatever, and like Aunt May talks to him about it. It's like it's just a repeat of that. from Spider-Man 2, but just
Yeah.
done
Way worse.
immensely worse. Like,
yeah, it really could just be cut out of the movie, and
yeah,
like it doesn't need to be there at all because, like I said,
Aunt May isn't like a character in these movies.
yeah,
She's like a complete
they were
afterthought.
trying pretty hard in this one. It felt like to make her more of a
Yeah.
character, and like most of it just falls flat. I think
You
that
know,
they have like one like fine scene together, and that's kind of it.
yeah, you know, I know there's a lot of complaints about like how Mary Jane is portrayed in the original trilogy. But like I gotta say, at least like there were like some other female characters who had like some agency and character, like Aunt May. In this, it's like Aunt May is like not a character. Gwen is like not a character. She's still like this, I don't know, idealist, I don't know, like girlfriend, but the whole relationship is just so like poorly like handled in this movie. It doesn't make you care. And I think a lot of the charm comes from Emma Stone rather than the writing.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
So I don't know. I just thought of that just now. It's like, why is Aunt May even in this movie? But like, she should be because it's Aunt May. But what does she have to do?
Not a whole lot.
It's so like it's so pathetic. Like this movie, I thought a lot of times too. I was like, this is pathetic. This is embarrassing. Like this movie is just like does not care. It's like a franchise that's already on its last legs.
By its second movie.
Yeah, it just feels like, and honestly, I felt like watching the ending of the movie that they knew it wasn't going to continue because it feels like it has a sense of finality to it.
Yeah.
And I feel like they were honestly just like, yeah, we already know we're probably going to give it back to Marvel. So I don't know, because the way this movie ends was pretty lame, I felt. And I wrote down in my notes just the times where I said to myself, "This is the worst movie ever made." After the laundry scene, I wrote that down because I was like, "This is so stupid." And then he says the thing about like oh, Aunt May doesn't want him to do the laundry because like all the clothes turned out like red and blue, and he was like, "I was washing the American flag," and it's like, what? Like, like this is so stupid. Like, who fucking cares? Oh god. Anyway,
yeah, it will be a little bit better if like that whole conversation just like this doesn't even need to be kept a secret. That's what got me like annoyed. Is just like she's trying to keep this a secret, and why? Like why having a second job is like this big secret she has to keep from Peter.
And honestly, like I don't know why Peter keeps being Spider-Man a secret from May. I don't. What is the dilemma? I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. Like,
it really feels like obviously going into the movie I already knew, but it almost felt like it was like setting it up for her to find out or be told in this movie.
Yeah, or that she knew.
Yeah,
like,
but it just never happens.
No, she never has a scene after like she's at the hospital. Like I think maybe she talks to Peter about Gwen dying, but not about being Spider-Man or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's it's so lame. Okay, we gotta talk about Harry now.
Oh joy, do we?
I just in my notes, just in all caps, I wrote goblin disease. Because that's what it is. It's a disease that turns
you into a goblin.
Is hereditary and turns the family members into goblins, I guess.
Yes, and then you die. You turn into a goblin, and because I made this joke to you before, where it's like, how does this disease kill you though? Like, is it like cancer? Is it?
I guess I guess so.
It just seems that okay, you get goblin features, and you die. I don't know. I don't like know what else, like how it really is. It kills you.
I love the scene with Harry and Norman Osborn, with Harry talking to him like on his deathbed, and like everything they say in this scene is just like is like the opposite of show don't tell. They just completely explain their relationship to each other.
Yeah.
You know, like, you weren't there for me. You just sent me off to boarding school. You always hated me. And it's not like in, again, Raimi's films where we immediately kind of understand Harry and his father's relationship just by like him not wanting to like be like dropped off right in the front of the museum in front of the rest of his classmates. You know, he seems like Norman seems to have more respect for Peter than Harry. Like that kind of stuff is just like,
this movie didn't know how to handle
have it.
Didn't know how to handle like Harry's relationship with anybody.
I think, and I feel like it's due to the actors and not the writing, but I did kind of feel like Harry and Peter's relationship was kind of fun in the scene
for
where
like
like
for like the one scene.
Yeah, for one scene. That's because I said
that's the problem.
earlier,
Like, the one scene, like
there's a
it
problem
once. Yeah, it's like, oh, we haven't seen each other basically since we were kids, and then they have one scene together, and then like, oh, Harry's my best bud. He's my best friend ever.
The way they interact at first, where they're kind of like awkward with each other, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's like, I'm in a meeting, like I haven't seen you in 8 years, but then you know they kind of reconnect. I liked that. I genuinely kind of liked that, but
yeah, that was
it
fine.
really is just that one scene.
Yeah, it's just not enough for me to, I guess, believe like, oh, like Harry and Peter, like these, you know, there's this friendship, like rekindled friendship, you know, and now that's like supposed to mean something to me because you know, in Spider-Man 1, in the same Raimi movies, we know that like Peter and Harry have been friends for like a while, and you can tell like with their interactions and everything that they've been friends, and they have like that kinship.
You can tell in like one scene.
Yeah.
Like that.
Where it's like I feel like they have to tell us.
Yeah, everything in this movie with new characters is like a show. The opposite of show don't tell. It's tell. Mm-hmm. It's so lame. Like I keep saying that, like, but there's so many things in this movie that are just so lame. Like I can't even. So yeah, and then there's a great part in the scene where Norman gives Harry this like flash drive or something, and like it shows his hands, and they like have these like long sharp
fingernails. A goblin.
Like, it literally makes your fingernails like a goblin.
Yeah, it's the goblin disease.
Like,
you'll become a goblin because he's the Green Goblin, guys.
And then I wrote down in my notes again, this is the worst movie ever made. And then I just liked how everyone when Osborn dies, everyone is wearing gloves and masks around Osborn's like dead body, except for the nurse that goes up and touches his body.
Well, of course.
Why? Like, what the fuck?
Why? I didn't even remember that, and that doesn't make any sense because it's hereditary. Like, they're not going to catch the disease.
No, but it seemed like he was like quarantined.
Oh,
I don't know. But why didn't Harry go in with?
But still, why? Here? I mean, what are they going to give him that's going to kill him besides the goblin disease? Though, like that's what's killing him. Like, forget anything else. He's dying from the goblin disease. That's what's going to kill him. Nothing anybody else is going to give to him is going to kill him. It's the goblin disease.
I don't know. It's just like so stupid.
Yeah, the whole goblin disease. I mean, that's like a huge driving force for Harry's motivations.
Yeah,
obviously, and it feels forced the whole way because okay, Norman. What he looks like he may be maybe his 60s, 70s, you know, late in his life before the goblin disease just kills him. But Harry, like this whole movie, acts like he's gonna die tomorrow if he doesn't like get a cure.
And he looks like he's gonna die tomorrow because
I know because everyone's like, oh, you look awful, and like it's like why is this disease gonna kill him like when he's so young when it killed his dad when it was kind of like towards the end of his life. Obviously, the movie doesn't explain that at all. Like, okay, does like
no, It's
You have
so
to guess.
dumb.
Like, there's no explanation as to why it's
I
already
think
killing him.
I think there's some line where like Norman says like something like it like gets exponential as it like gets passed down or some shit like that, which I don't even understand how that would work. Like what?
Goblin.
Like eventually you're gonna have a kid and they just
They're just gonna
immediately
die.
die?
They're gonna come out as a goblin.
Yeah.
Baby goblin, little goblin junior.
You're crying.
I guess.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. It's oh my god, it's so funny. And people say the Raimi films are too goofy. Like I
know.
can't
This
believe
is
it.
goofier than anything in those movies. Like a goblin
Yeah.
disease. Like, guys,
And
he's
like
the Green Goblin. So
it's like they never say it. They never say it's like they never say goblin disease, but it's a goblin disease.
that's what everybody calls it. Like, it's a goblin disease.
Yeah.
You know, once again, I think this was supposed to be some kind of inspiration from the Ultimate comics, because in the Ultimate comics, like, Norman Osborn transforms, like he becomes big and goblin-y, as opposed to in the originals where he wears a suit. But like that was through an experiment, not just a genetic disease.
Yeah, it was so dumb.
But it's like here,
Okay,
it's like let's just make it a genetic thing, and it's a disease, and why?
Yeah. And then Electro falls into the vat of the tank of eels, and they bite him and electrocute him until he becomes Electro. And the CGI in this scene I thought was terrible.
Yeah, the
Like
eels look
it
pretty
didn't look good.
bad.
Yeah, and then
all the CG with Electro like looks kind of off.
Yeah, it looks really bad. Every design for these villains, man, they just suck.
Yeah,
like
pretty much.
Like they look gross. And then Max is like turning into Electro, and it does like a close up on the gap between his teeth.
Yeah,
closing
like, oh, fix his teeth.
Why? Why the fuck? Why does that even happen? So dumb.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, haha, he was dorky and goofy looking, and now he isn't. Except he is. I don't know.
Yeah. And then I think it cuts back to Peter and Harry bonding, rekindling their friendship. And I liked too that they both kind of bond over like, oh, our fathers kind of left us in a way, you know, kind of quote unquote. I thought that was actually like, hey, there was something there that could have been explored well.
They just only used one scene.
Yeah. I also wrote down in my notes how convenient that everyone in this film uses a Sony Vaio computer. Everyone.
I didn't even
like
notice.
There's like people from Oscorp listening in on Peter and Harry's conversation. Why? What the it's so lame. Like
I don't know.
It's like spy aspect. It's just so dumb. And then Peter and Gwen break up a second time. Or well, they break up a second time. They get back together kind of. They're like, "Oh, we'll be friends." Like
I think this is the scene too where I think I laughed out loud because of how stupid this scene was. Maybe you know what it is, because I couldn't believe that they had Peter do this. Where remember he like walks out in front of traffic and he just has his hand up, stops like the guy and like but doesn't even acknowledge. Like, dude, that's like not something you want like the character that you're supposed to root for to do. That just makes him look like a giant jerk.
Yeah, I know.
Why did he have to do that? What was even the point of that? Like, he's so like mesmerized by Gwen and how much he loves Gwen. He walks out into traffic and just makes people stop for him. It's like I laughed. I went like something like that because it's just like so. It makes me think of the scene in the first one where he like takes the guy's name tag and then smirks about like we're supposed to like this guy. What the?
Yeah, it's so lame. Like at first I thought it was kind of funny how he's just like not looking at the traffic, but he's like stepping back and stuff because spider
I know.
whatever. But then like just
Why?
walking right in front of
I
a
know.
car,
And
and
just
hit
like
you.
stops him. Like, okay, like why? Why? Why did you need to cross the street like that? There's like no point.
Because comedy. I don't know.
I did laugh, so
Yeah,
sure, but I don't
I
know if
laughed a
it's
lot
like
during
that
this
was
movie.
yeah,
It's a great comedy.
that it
Uh,
is. You're gonna be laughing a lot.
but this is the scene where Peter and Electro first fight.
That
Some
me.
woman in the crowd calls Electro dummy, and I just because I had the
I didn't hear
subtitles
that.
on, and I
Oh, didn't hear that.
I was like,
You Electro dummy. I wonder if like whoever wrote the script just like asked of their child, like, what's some good lines for the movie? I break up with you, you Electro dummy. Oh, that's good stuff.
God.
Good stuff. I'll add some of
I
that to
wouldn't
the
imagine
movie.
if it was actually written by a 5-year-old.
You know, you Electro dumb. I didn't even get to catch that. That's a good catch.
Again, people complain about the cheesy lines in the Raimi films. I don't understand.
Can we talk about the you lied to me, the shot
Oh my
at
God, the
me?
music.
Yes, that has to be addressed.
I always thought it was like the music for Electro has this like weird like rhythmical whispering in it.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
bad.
where it's like he lied to me.
It had to be like, this has to be for laughs, right? It's so bad, it's funny. It's like they had to think people would laugh at this, right? It's
I
so
don't
bad.
know. It's like it's Hans Zimmer and Pharrell Williams working together.
It's so bad though.
I know. And it's weird. I like a lot of Pharrell Williams like songs and stuff, and I like a lot of Hans Zimmer's scores. But I don't know what the hell happened with this movie. Yeah. But I always thought it was he hates me, like he's Mario or something.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
The subtitles confirm that it's he hates on me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which
okay. Well,
it
that's not what
doesn't
it sounds
sound like it at all.
Not at all. I always thought he said like he hates me.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Like I can't believe it. I just like why whatever. Wait, I can't get hung up on every little thing in this movie, but that was pretty. I can't believe the music in that scene. But yeah, they're in like Times Square, and everything in the background is like some kind of ad for something. There's like a Blu-ray ad.
It's a Sony movie.
What? Okay. Have you ever seen a fucking ad just for Blu-ray? Like after the year like 2008? Like what the hell?
I don't know.
Like fucking who would have like a Blu-ray ad just like
Sony would.
Somewhere? It's not even like for a specific movie on Blu-ray. It's just Blu-ray. It makes no fucking sense.
Sony would.
Yeah, and then there's like a McDonald's. I don't know. It was just so dumb. But this whole scene, Peter is trying to calm down Electro because he's at the big blue meanie now, and like,
you Electro dummy.
You Electro dummy. What a digital dummy.
Oh my gosh. Someone should have said that after like the whole fight scene. What a digital dummy. Would have been the icing on the cake that Spider-Man baked for us.
But oh man, yeah. Electro gets mad because he forgot his name, and I don't know. This whole scene, he like just
I thought at least like
the
only like the positive thing to say about this is like I think there was some cool like cinematography and like the way they shot some of the scenes. Like I liked the usage of slow motion in this. You know how I feel about slow motion in comic book movies.
Yeah, the Spider Sense like slow motion stuff.
Yeah, I thought that was all pretty well done. Like that stuff looked pretty cool. I liked the scene of like he has to stop the car and he has to like stop people from touching the rail, and like how that was all shot. Like that was like pretty good.
It's kind of honestly when Spider-Man is Spider-Man, excuse me, in this movie, it's like kind of a fun movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's everything around it though that is like this is absolute garbage.
Yeah, that's like the only things they could really get right.
And even in the scene, there's a lot of stuff that's like, I can't believe this is so stupid. Okay, there's like a part where Gwen is there, and I think she's like, "Where's Peter?" Or like, "Where?" Someone says like, "Where's Spider-Man?" And then Spider-Man blasts
You know what
Electro.
pissed me off though about this? Like, it was something I realized watching these. Gwen runs into like every dangerous situation in these movies.
I know,
on her own. She always just runs to the scene of the crime, like when Spider-Man's fighting stuff, any chance she could get. Like, no wonder she freaking dies.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous.
You know, at least Mary Jane got like kidnapped. She wasn't like going into these things on her own will, but like Gwen just feels like, oh, we got to have Gwen and like as many of these scenes as we can, I guess. So she's just gonna keep running up to like every crime scene, and every time like Spider-Man fights someone, she's got to be there. Like, well, dang, no wonder she dies.
I know, it's so ridiculous. Yeah, but okay, so like Spider-Man blasts Electro with the hose that the firefighters have, and it's like,
I don't know why they didn't do that before.
Did the firefighters need Spider-Man to hold the hose for them? Like, nope. Everyone in this movie who's like a cop or like some kind of public justice, like whatever you want to call it, I can't think of the name, public servant or whatever, like a firefighter or a cop, is just like always asking Spider-Man how to do things. And it's like so weird. It's just like, why didn't the firefighters think to do that like right away?
Yeah, like, oh, water, bad, electricity and water don't mix.
Yeah, I don't know.
Good question.
I think it was just so that you could see Spider-Man wearing a firefighter's hat, because funny trailer shot. Whatever.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only reason it's there.
And then Peter does he like goes home and tries to figure out how he can not get his because his web shooter gets fried from the electricity. So he's like trying to figure out how to stop that. And he watches a YouTube video, and I swear to God, okay, this YouTube video bothered me because the like analytics or whatever for the video that it shows made no fucking sense to me. He's like watching this YouTube channel of this like guy who does like science videos, right?
Yep.
I even took a picture of it because I couldn't believe it, and I don't know if I could show it here, but it's like this weird. You're not gonna be able to see it, but okay, it's a video that has 257,000 views, and the guy has 2 subscribers.
I think I noticed that.
Why? Like, what the and like in any other movie, I would have been like, that's kind of funny, but in that, it just felt like a mistake.
Yeah,
like they didn't.
I think I did notice that too.
Like again, I think it was probably meant to be a joke, but
and the ye old days of when you could see YouTube dislikes.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know, that bothered me. I was like, wait, what the fuck? Because I always look for that kind of stuff in these movies, because I'm like, these are like a bunch of old like farts who are probably like doing this kind of thing and like making these graphics, and they don't understand what like how YouTube works. So like I always look for that kind of stuff. Like, do you guys actually use the thing you're portraying here? And I don't think they did. Probably I don't think they understand what a YouTube was.
Probably not.
And then okay, Harry is like in the elevator with Gwen at one point. I'm just reading my notes, and they're talking, and Harry says something like, it's always complicated with Peter, because she says something about, it's complicated, her relationship with Peter. It's like, you guys were like 12 when you knew each other. Like, what are you talking about? It was complicated with a 12-year-old? Like, what? What the fuck ever?
Yeah, but, sure. Okay, movie.
Yeah. Yes. Harry is like adamantly trying to find a cure for his goblin disease. And just like, he wants Spider-Man's blood because he thinks it can cure him. I don't remember how he gets this idea, but
spiders can self-heal, so he thinks the self-healing process the spider can do will cure him.
Okay. So he goes to Peter, he invites Peter over and is like, I want Spider-Man's blood. Like, you know Spider-Man, you took this photo of him. And Peter is like, Harry, I took this photo with a long lens. I don't know this man. Like there's no reason for Harry to believe there is a connection between Peter and Spider-Man in this movie. He took one photograph of him for like a job. But in the Raimi films, I said earlier that we're not going to go back to the Raimi films too much, but like I have to here. In the Raimi films, Peter clearly took a lot of pictures of Spider-Man, for one thing. Pictures that had to have been posed for in some way. And Peter himself even acknowledges, like, yes, I'm essentially his photographer.
Yeah.
In this movie, it's just like Peter immediately denies it and has like a completely reasonable, like, why the fuck would you think I took this picture? Like, it's from...
Yeah, this whole thing also feels irrelevant anyway because he wants to talk to Spider-Man. So just like as Peter, it's like, okay, well, he's not going to listen to Peter saying like, no, I'm not going to get Spider-Man because he, doesn't want to give him his blood. Just okay, I'll go talk to Spider-Man and then have Spider-Man show up and say like, yeah, I'm not giving you my blood, which is what he does anyway. So like, why have the whole like? It just feels like it's there to create drama between Peter and Harry. It's like, oh no, I'm not gonna like. I don't know him, and I'll try.
Just create a rift between their.
Okay, I guess I'll talk to him, and then
between their super developed relationship.
Yeah, that's that's the only reason it feels like it's for. Because like, just tell him as Spider-Man no, which is what he does. So
yeah,
it's like,
but honestly, I had a problem with this too. Why would he even show up as Spider-Man? To tell Harry that he can't help him.
I guess to be his out. So it's like, see, as Peter, like I told him, I don't know.
It makes no sense. He should never have shown up as Spider-Man. It just
because I don't know what he like how he thought Harry would react. So like, oh, I know this is like killing you, but could make it worse. So he was trying to be like, oh, we just like won't do it yet or something. What he should have done is like, hey, we don't know if this is just gonna kill you like outright or make things worse. So how about like give me a sample of your blood? I'll take my blood and we'll combine them and see what happens. Something like that instead of just like.
But like you said, Harry thinks like he's gonna die within seconds.
Yeah, I know. That's what it seems like.
It's
so he's like,
ridiculous.
No, we got to do this now. We can't wait now. I'm dying. Tomorrow, basically.
This scene with Spider-Man and Harry, where Spider-Man tells him, like, I can't give you my blood, and then fucking leaves. Basically tells him like, sorry, dude, you're shit out of luck. Bye.
Pretty much.
But okay, this whole scene was just so funny to me already because I was thinking that. But then this is the part that made me laugh really hard. Spider-Man leaves out the window, and then Harry like kind of goes up to the window and like look around and see him. Yeah, and he's like, ugh. And then he like goes up to the side table and he's like,
flips it.
You're a fraud,
Spider-Man.
And like knocks it over.
Yeah, gets on the couch.
And like, oh my god, it made me laugh so hard. I don't know why. Just the timing of it, the pan over shot to like Spider-Man still being
Spider-Man just like sucks for him.
Yeah, it's like, oh well, yeah, okay.
Whoops.
That guy's a freak.
Sucks for that guy. Sucks for him.
But like, and also the fact that like, it's clearly dubbed in. Like he did not say that on the set. Like there's no fucking way. It's so bad. Oh my god, it made me. I was like crying laughing. Holy shit, it's so funny. I don't even know why. It's so funny to me. Yeah, that was amazing. Like, I just can't even. I'm looking at my notes here. Okay, Harry finds out through his assistant that they do still
It was
have the
Felicia Hardy
venom
for
from
like
this.
no reason.
Oh, oh, okay. 'Cause yeah, they called her Felicia, and I was like, okay, that must be
Yeah,
something.
Felicia
Whatever.
Hardy, aka Black Cat. Because
Okay.
we got to set things up for that third movie, right?
I was just more distracted that it's Felicity Jones playing a character called Felicia. I thought that was like weird, but
Yeah.
like, okay, I guess that was
That's who
supposed to be
that character is supposed to be, Black Cat.
all right. Okay.
Yeah. The more you know, I guess.
Yeah, she didn't really do much in this movie.
No, she felt like she was there. Like, well, we got to
She's-
introduce you in this movie so that you can maybe become Black Cat in the future. Okay.
She's literally there to tell Harry that, like, oh yeah, I overheard from the higher ups
the
that
only
like
thing
we
she does
still
in this
have the
movie.
spider venom, and Harry tries to find it, and I don't know. I don't even know what happened. He goes and like finds Electro because I guess they captured Electro and are like experimenting on him, and there's this like weird like German mad scientist stereotype dude like experimenting on him. It's like, okay, this is ridiculous. Like, what the fuck? And then they're like also trying to cover it up. There's like a part where Gwen is like looking up on the computer like about Max Dillon.
Oh yeah, and
like,
they immediately
Electro.
go after like, oh, you searched for Max. We're coming after you now.
Like real time, like deny her access.
Yeah,
it's like what the
they
fuck?
were just like waiting for it. Like no way, you better look up Max Dillon.
The way that Osborn or Oscorp is like portrayed in this movie is just like so ridiculous. I can't understand what they were thinking. Like like they thought it'd be cool if like Oscorp was this like big bad corporation. Like I don't, what the fuck?
Pretty much.
Okay, but so Dane DeHaan, Goblin Man, goes to
Goblin Disease Man.
He frees Electro, and they team up, and it felt like Spider-Man 3, where like just like, oh, the characters just they have to team up. I guess. And Electro can now just completely travel through electricity now, I guess. I don't, whatever. And they like go up to the guy who kicked out Harry from Oscorp, and they're like, tell me where the spider venom is. And I don't know why, but this bothered me. This writing was just stupid. Harry and Electro come in, and Harry's like, fairy godmother, it's time to grant me one wish. And then the guy is like, you're crazy, you're like a fucking goblin. And like,
you're the goblin.
And like Harry's like, oh god, I'm sorry, that's just not the answer we're looking for. That's like, wait, that doesn't follow the fairy godmother line that you said earlier. What's the, you know what I mean? It should have been like we're looking for like, what's the answer to this question? You know what I mean? Like that's how it should have started. And then he responds with, oh, I'm sorry, that's not the answer we're looking for. But he started out with like, fairy godmother, it's time to grant me one wish. It's like, what did you guys like forget how you wrote the scene?
I guess maybe they thought that sounded so clever.
Like, what the fuck, man? This movie like can't even write a scene. Like it can't even write two sentences like in tandem with each other. I'm sorry. Like
I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about Harry like this whole movie. I think like his character is just like they had no idea really what to do with him.
I think they just let Dane DeHaan do whatever the fuck he wanted.
I think so, because he just seems to like be playing this as like whatever the way he wants.
I feel like bad making fun of Dane DeHaan too, because like I liked Dane DeHaan. I like his performances and other things. Like he's good in Chronicle.
Yeah.
And like I think he's good in this movie to an extent of like the material sucks, but like he's working with it at least. That's what I feel.
Trying.
But like yeah, I don't understand what you're supposed to be feeling for any characters in this movie. But like even Peter or Gwen or whatever, like it's so bad. And then I don't know what else even like I guess Electro and Goblin are like gonna yeah, like team up, and they are gonna cut power to the city and do something. I don't even know. What is their plan? You remember?
Yeah, because I saw it today. That's probably the only reason. Like he uses Electro, to basically take out everybody, and then get that guy to take them to where they're keeping the spider venom. And then he just does like the stupidest thing where it's like, oh yeah, okay, just like inject me with it. It's like we said we didn't do human trial, but he knows like, oh no, like he did, Spider-Man as a result of that, but you guys don't know. So it clearly will work for me since it worked for one other person, like,
yeah,
dude, why don't you just like take a sample of your blood and like put that with the venom and see like what happens first before you just inject yourself? But once again, he's acting like he's gonna die tomorrow, so it's like he's just so overly desperate. So it's just like, why not just inject me right now?
Why not have the guy like inject himself or something?
I don't know.
Like just, what? And then
I don't know.
I thought you were going to say the scene was also stupid because Harry is literally pointing a gun right at the guy and then has the guy inject Harry on the arm that's pointing the gun at him.
Yeah, I feel like,
why would you do that?
Something
why not? Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, if you just hit a nerve and it's like, oh shit, I just shot you. Like,
yeah,
what the hell?
I don't know. You think be like, can I?
I think that was supposed to be. Yeah, I know. I mean, like, whatever. It's not that big a deal, but it was just like so many things in this movie are just like so stupid like that. And then yeah, Goblin like starts becoming the Goblin because the injection doesn't work right, and then crawls towards the Green Goblin suit.
Best looking Goblin, right?
Oh my god, he looks like I wrote in my notes, he looks like a troll doll.
I know he does, and it's like I never want to hear anybody ever diss the Willem Dafoe suit ever again, ever after this.
At least the Willem Dafoe suit is iconic. It looks cool.
Yeah,
like it's kind of silly, but like whatever.
Well, I just know a lot of people like to rip on it, and I don't want to ever hear anyone saying
people have the wrong opinions sometimes. It's okay.
I agree. I agree.
But like, oh my god, he and this is stupid because there's like other suits there. There's like the Doc Ock suit and the Rhino suit, and it's like, so would he have become the Green Goblin if he like? What if he just walked up to the Doc Ock suit? What the?
I don't know.
It's like in the same room. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like what. Well, they don't explain because like he goes into that suit and then it says something about like healing process begins or something like that. So like, does the suit stop him from dying? Does it stop him from like turning more into a goblin? It doesn't explain.
Did he know that it would heal him?
I mean, it showed him looking at the armor like very briefly, but it's like we don't get shown anything about it. So your guess is as good as mine.
Yep. And then it cuts to like the bridge scene where like Spider-Man writes "I love you" on the bridge in his webs, and this is like the one extra I liked in the movie that reminded me of like a Sam Raimi Spider-Man film. The cab driver who's like driving Gwen, he's like, "It's Spider-Man." I don't know why it made me laugh.
Then she says, "Stop the cab." It's like, I'm not even moving.
Yeah, the cab's not even fucking moving, you idiot.
Gwen's supposed to be smart though. Don't forget that.
Yeah. God. And then Peter's supposed to be smart, but Gwen is like, "Did you try magnetizing the suit?"
The door. Like, nope, I didn't try that.
Like, oh wait, I didn't do. Yeah, shit.
Yeah, pretty much like, oh. Yeah.
I feel like the whole reason for Gwen and Peter to have this like back and forth relationship was literally just so that he didn't find out that he can magnetize his suit until right then.
Like, oh, Gwen's helping.
Yeah. This is so dumb. And then God, they magnetize the suit with like a car battery or something. I don't know how it works, but whatever. And like Peter like swings away, and this line I thought was funny when he like webs her hand to the car, the hood of the car door or whatever, and like she yells out like Peter, and like immediately it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was funny.
I heard that was a mistake on her part, and they kept it in. I don't know if it's true.
Oh, that'd be good. I mean, that's
I don't
funny.
know if it's true though. Yeah, I mean that's because it's funny because like, oh, that's something that would happen. Like you call out,
Yeah,
you know,
it felt
Spider-Man's name
natural.
if you know him. Yeah, felt natural.
Yeah. Then the next scene is not natural. He fights Electro in this power grid or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know where to start with this scene. They fight each other, and Electro can pass through the electricity and is basically like intangible.
You know, there actually was one line in here where I remember thinking it's kind of funny back when I first watched it, and I forgot about it. But I don't know why this made me laugh, but it's a scene where I think before they start fighting, Electro's like, I'm going to be like a god. Spider-Man just says, like, a god named Sparkles?
Oh, yeah. That was pretty funny.
That's kind of funny. Trying to throw that in there. It's like, okay, that's funny.
Yeah, there's also a line where, well, Electro, I guess, plays Itsy Bitsy Spider through the electricity.
That's what the song was? I guess that makes sense. With Peter's line, like, I hate the song. I'm like, I don't know what this song's supposed to be.
Yeah, because like I remember like watching the movie the first time. I was like, what the fuck was there was a song? What? It sounds like noise. It doesn't sound like anything. And then
I wasn't sure what song
later,
it was supposed to be.
Yeah, because I heard later that like
okay, that makes I guess more sense why Peter would say the line, but I never knew what song they were playing.
Yeah, it's apparently Itsy Bitsy Spider. Yeah, you cannot tell. The music is so badly like mixed and composed.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Like, you would not be able
I've
to
seen
tell.
the movie a couple times. I had no idea that it was supposed to be Itsy Bitsy Spider.
But I'm pretty musically like illiterate, but still like I just thought it sounded bad. Like even though I was like listening for it, I was like, I did not hear Itsy Bitsy Spider.
I never did either. So
no.
I guess that finally makes sense with the line. But
yeah,
it's like, okay, I never knew. I bet you a lot of people didn't know that's what the song was supposed to be. I'm really gonna go out on a limb here and guess that we're not the only two.
Yeah. I don't know. Electro roars electricity into Spider-Man's face. It's so dumb. And then Peter redirects his lightning to Electro or whatever, and it kills Electro. And this is something that I kind of was like, this is like, I feel the real thing that you can point to in this movie of like, of how this movie does not give a shit compared to the Raimi films. Because Electro does not get any kind of like, like, say. He doesn't have anything to say after, like, before he dies.
Yeah,
you know, there's no, he just dies.
Yeah.
There's no relationship between these two characters that's interesting, or like they don't say anything to each other. He just dies because that's what happened. That's what needs to happen for the movie. And then Goblin shows up. I don't know why he showed up late. Like why didn't they fight him together? Like what the
You know what annoys me that this movie does though? It tries to do like, you know, the Goblin laugh like before he comes in. Like you're supposed to know, like, oh, it's the Green Goblin laugh, and it's so lackluster compared to Willem Dafoe's, obviously. So
Yeah,
it just
and they
feels
only
like
do it once in this movie.
yeah. Just makes me go like, forget you, movie. Like, don't even try. Like, oh, he's Goblin now. He's gonna do the Goblin lap. No,
Yeah,
don't even try it. This is not the Green Goblin. This is a pathetic imitation.
yeah,
So bad. Yeah, the Goblin, like the look and just everything about how they did Green Goblin in this movie is terrible.
yeah. It's awful. Like everything about it. Jeez. Yeah, and then
There's
they
a reason that they
fight.
didn't even reference this Goblin in No Way Home. Just
Yeah,
saying.
I know. I thought of that too. It was just, oh god, yeah, so dumb. Goblin like literally only shows up to just kill Gwen.
Yeah, because
Like,
it's Green Goblin's who kills Gwen Stacy in the comics, so he's got to do it in the movies.
yeah, and they again no scene between Peter and Harry. You know, I mean, he doesn't die, but like, there's no dialogue between them. Like, oh my, like, you're my best friend. Like, why are you doing this? And
Yeah, I
anything
also
like that.
just love how like Gwen and Spider-Man are there, so he just automatically puts together like, oh, Gwen's here and Spider-Man, it must be Peter, because that's where he finds out Peter's Spider-Man.
Yeah, but Gwen works for Oscorp. It could
Yeah,
have just been,
I know.
oh, she knows the power grid.
Yeah, but he just like
'Cause she
immediately
does.
like, oh, it's like Gwen's here, so it must be Peter.
Yeah,
Like, okay.
this movie sucks, dude. Like,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
then
you can really tell that he's really just there. Like the whole Goblin thing is just there to kill Gwen Stacy because like they barely have a fight.
yeah,
It's all just like he carries her up to the tower and then like they fall and have like a scrape in the tower and then the death scene.
yep,
So
yeah. Which I like parts of the death scene in the way it's executed. Okay, like Peter like shooting the web and the web making like a hand was like
yeah,
the
I know.
dumbest thing.
I know. Like when
Like,
we talked about this movie
really,
in the past, that's like your least favorite thing about it.
yeah. I think even the first time I saw this movie, I honestly did enjoy it, like more genuinely. Uh, and I think it was because like I wasn't expecting Gwen's death, and that was like oh shit, I didn't expect the movie to like do that because I didn't know like it happens in the comics. Um, but like even then, I was like, that was dumb. That hand thing was like, what were you trying to do there? Like that's just silly. Come on. Like in Gwen's death scene.
Easy.
And it's like, I don't know if it's from the comics or something. I'm still gonna say
It's
dumb.
not.
And something about I know I kind of like how little music happens in this moment, but like Gwen, the web catching her and her hitting the ground still. Something about it is still kind of unintentionally funny to me. Just like the timing of it.
The thump sound.
Yeah, because I imagine reading it in the comics. I haven't read it, but like I imagine that you're not seeing it in motion, you're seeing it in these like images that like pop out and stuff.
Yep.
And it's like in this, you see it like in one fell swoop and it just feels really sudden, which I guess kind of works. Like, oh, it just happens. Like, oh shit,
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird still. And I don't know. It's like the movie built up to this, but like not in like a real, movie build up way. It was more just like Gwen talks about like we only live once and like and puts herself in danger and all this stuff, and it feels so forced. It's not like an actual like, oh my god, everything that happened in the movie like made me feel this, It's more just like, oh, it suddenly happens, and yeah, I don't know. It's just so dumb. Although I did think like Andrew Garfield, really good performance in this scene. I felt.
Yeah,
like
this was a lot better death scene than the Uncle Ben one.
Yes. Yeah.
Much better.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, his acting was pretty solid.
Yeah, and I
thought he did a pretty good like emotional performance.
And I liked this shot after she dies of just Peter staring at the grave and like the seasons changing. I thought that was really like well done.
Yeah, it's showing and not telling how
Exactly. It's like the one moment
messed
that
up
in
the
the whole movie that feels that way.
just to
And
undo it at the end.
yep.
Yeah. See, this is how I also think that you're right that they didn't have confidence in the movie because how cool would it have been if they ended
Yes,
like
I literally
like
wrote that in
imagine
my notes.
Spider-Man 2 ending with like him throwing the suit away in the trash and walking away, and that's like well Spider-Man 2 just ended right there. That's what it would have kind of been. Like
Yeah.
to end on like a really somber note like that, and then they go in the third one and have like his triumphant return. But it's like you said, it's like I don't think that they were confident this movie was gonna do all that well because it's just they undo it all in like the last couple minutes. Where it's like, well, it's Spider-Man though. It's got to end on a happy note. He's got to come back as Spider-Man at the end.
Even
But
though every Raimi film ended on a bittersweet moment.
yeah, it's like they were like
None
afraid to get do these
films,
with these.
yeah, none of the Raimi films ended on like a everything is totally fine now.
Yeah,
You know, everything's going to be okay. Every ending was like, hey, something, you know, kind of like, oh yeah, kind of something good happened, but something, you know, is still like not quite right, you know.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in these movies, I'll forgive. I don't know. I'll forgive this movie a little bit because again, I do feel like they probably knew this was going to be the last Amazing Spider-Man film. That like, okay, well, you can't end the movie on just Gwen dying and then oh, that's it. You know, Peter's sad, bye, and like you got to have it on a more triumphant moment, I guess. But the last movie ending on that like you know dilemma of like you know do I stay with Gwen, you know I made a promise to her father and like she is in danger when she's with me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
uh but like it just being resolved in that movie was dumb, but then they didn't even follow through with it in this one, so it's like it could have ended on a more somber moment in the first
Mm,
movie and
yeah.
be more impactful, but they didn't do it.
Nope.
Yeah, and then oh my god, this is like the stupidest fucking kid in the world.
Oh
This
yeah.
the Rhino is like in the Rhino suit and like has a fucking machine gun like attached, machine guns attached to it, which like it really doesn't look like a Rhino to me, other than just the
The horn.
that yeah the horn. Other than that, it's like it stands upright. It doesn't look like a Rhino. I don't know, but it just looks overly designed. I feel.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the design.
Yeah.
It once again, it's more like the ultimate design where he's like in this mecha rhino suit as
Yeah.
opposed to like in the originals where it's like basically just a guy in a rhino suit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this
Yeah. I don't know.
no, I was not a fan. It's too like bulky, like at the top part, like the bottom, like with the legs, just looks
Yeah. It just I don't know. It
off.
just looks strange. Yeah.
Yeah, especially like okay, he's supposed to be Rhino. Why is he walking on two legs all the time? Then he only like runs on all four at the end to charge Spider-Man.
Yeah. They could have had like some machine guns like on the back, and it like still is on all
Yeah, I don't know.
fours.
It's just like why have him as a Rhino if he's not gonna like walk like a Rhino? It's like oh well, he's got like the cockpit. Like well, he could still like have it where he's looking out the front. You know, like he's almost like driving like a car. Like they could have done that.
Yeah.
It just it's like I don't.
I don't
If he
know.
didn't have the horn, it's like it wouldn't feel like a Rhino. So whatever.
Yeah. If
I
they
don't
didn't
know.
say it was the Rhino, I would have been like, what the hell is this supposed to even be?
Yeah.
But yeah, this kid who Peter kind of met earlier in the movie uh is like dressed up in a Spider-Man suit just conveniently,
Yes.
and like runs out into open gunfire to stop the Rhino, and it actually stops the Rhino, and then Spider-Man actually shows up, and then they don't fight, but it's implied they're gonna fight. Um, which was something that was really dumb because in the trailer it's like the last shot of the trailer, I think,
Yeah,
is
it's
like
like when we
the last
watched it,
shot
it's
of the
like,
movie.
yeah, nobody thought that'd be the last shot of the movie. I'm sure going in to see
Yeah,
this movie.
I thought there was going to be a Rhino fight.
Yeah, like, everybody did. Like they
Like,
marketed the Rhino in this movie, and it's like he's not really in the movie. He's on the cover of the Blu-ray, and he's
yeah,
in it for probably like 2 or 3 minutes, if that.
and it's Paul Giamatti too. Like,
Yeah, like why did they even bother getting him?
I know. Yeah, so that's the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Um
Overall, very entertaining movie though.
yeah,
But
it was
it's
pretty
again, it's because it's
entertaining.
so bad. Like there's so much bad about it, but it's so entertaining with how bad it is. Because just
Yeah,
there's so many
it's
decisions that just don't make sense. Like it's so
it's
underdeveloped.
constantly like engaging you with how bad it is.
Yeah. But it is entertaining. I am always much more entertained watching this movie than the Amazing Spider-Man one.
Definitely, yeah. I think the first Amazing Spider-Man is like too close to like the Raimi films and like what it wants to tell. Whereas this movie, at least, even though there's like the Green Goblin stuff, it still feels so different. It doesn't feel like it's totally one for one or anything. And it's so goddamn goofy. Like I don't know. Yeah, I think two is much more entertaining. Uh, I feel like if Sony had given more of a shit, and I don't know, put more confidence into it or something, I don't know, it might have been better. I don't
Okay.
know.
I mentioned this when we talked about the Amazing Spider-Man 1, but I have to talk about some of the things that they said that they would potentially do with the third one if they had gone to do it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Um, you'll have to remind me the actor's name who played Gwen's dad because he was being interviewed.
Norman Leary, I believe.
Okay, because he was being interviewed for some other movie he was doing at the time, and they asked him, I think, about Amazing Spider-Man 3, and I don't know if they were actually going to do this, but this is just what he talked about. So that's what you got to go off of here. I don't know if this is what actually would have happened, but this is what he talked about. And he said that for Amazing Spider-Man 3, Peter would have developed some kind of serum that could bring back the dead. And Gwen's father would return that way. Because he said, like, oh yeah, I'd be like up to returning. Like they were telling me about this, and I said, yeah, let's do it. So take that as you will.
I don't. Okay, that feels a little too unbelievable to me.
Yeah,
but
like, well, wait, like Peter can do. Like, would Uncle Ben come back? Would Gwen come back? Because surely if Peter could somehow
literally just have
make a formula that brings back people from the dead, I guess honestly, just all these characters are going to come back.
Honestly, I genuinely kind of like that idea. Like, but that's just weird. That's too weird for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's like some Sam Raimi Doctor Strange shit where like he possesses his own zombie body. Like,
yes. Yeah, it's like it's like maybe it's a good thing they didn't make the third one. That would have been just so, because at least like with Doctor Strange, okay, that's magic. But it's like, how is he? These are supposed to be much more grounded films where it's like everything is tied through science.
Yeah.
So it's like, how would he just? He couldn't even figure out the way to stop his web shooters to get electrocuted, and yet he's gonna make a formula that can bring back people from the dead.
Yeah,
that's like all we know. I think. I remember that because I just thought that was like. That would have just been so bizarre.
Yeah.
Like
okay. Speaking of the dead, real quick, there was also a scene in Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2, where like Peter was like trying to connect all the dots about his father, and it plays like that like for you
you
song. It's like, okay, this is like I mean, not really a bad song or anything, but like just like completely inappropriate for like whatever
Yeah.
the fuck they're trying to do here.
Yeah,
And then like
we skipped over talking more about like I don't like the he had the coins or something and like the
yeah,
train thing.
yeah.
I don't. Who cares?
What the
I
yeah,
don't
what
even
the
want to
fuck?
talk about it because it's
And
just like this is so dumb.
his dad had like an underground like like subway layer.
Yeah,
Like what the
it's
fuck?
like so dumb. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to talk
So
about.
like inconsequential to the movie
I
as
know.
well. Like
Like who cares?
anyway, like go on about more. Is there more Spider-Man
That
3?
no, that
Oh,
was I had to mention
okay.
that interview because
Okay.
that just would have
I
been
feel like
so
that
weird.
that might have been like Norman Leary trolling or something.
I don't know. It could.
I don't know.
I don't know. That's just
But
that's why I'm saying like take it what it is. That's what he said. I don't know if that's like what he said is just trolling or if like that was just early ideas or if they would have actually done that. I don't know. That's just what he said, and that's all I'm saying. That is what he was told because that's we don't have like a whole lot of info about like potential things they would have done except like okay they were obviously setting it up to do the Sinister Six, so we know like that
yeah.
probably would have happened, but like what would have been like the plot of the movie. So I just thought it'd be fun to mention that because it's just that
Yeah,
would have been
I'd
so
never
weird.
heard that. That is bizarre.
Yeah,
Like what the hell?
yeah. So yeah, um, rating time, I guess.
Oh god, yeah. Geez.
This is a hard movie, I think, to rate because
I think it
it's
is
very
too,
enjoyable.
but I think I guess should I go first or do you want to go
Sure, why
first?
not? Go ahead.
Okay. Well I rated the last one a 1 out of 5.
I think I gave it
Which
a 2. I
yeah,
think you're
again,
right.
like a 1 out of 5 might seem harsh, but it again just like how pointless the movie feels and just it's not a fun movie to watch. Yeah, I don't know.
This one's at least
I
fun.
yeah, okay. It kind of reminds me of like Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman, where Man of Steel was a better movie in like terms of it told a cohesive story and it had like pacing. Like it was like a movie, like it was a bad movie. Like I hate Man of Steel, but I wouldn't watch it again over the mess that was Batman versus Superman. You know,
Yeah,
I think this is so much more entertaining than the first Amazing Spider-Man movie, and I think I should just give it like a 1.5. Like I think this movie is worse in a lot of ways. I think like Batman versus Superman is worse than Man of Steel in a lot of ways, like
yeah.
on paper and
Mhm.
when you talk about them, but like the experience of watching them, like yeah, much rather watch Amazing Spider-Man 2. So I'm gonna give it a slightly higher rating of 1.5. But man, there were so many times watching this movie where I was just like, this is the worst thing ever. Like this is the worst movie like ever, right? like man, so dumb.
Yeah,
And of course
it's
I'm
pretty
being a
dumb.
little uh exaggerated or whatever with that statement. It's not really the worst movie ever made. There's
Yeah, there's just a
plenty of
lot of dumb
movies that
stuff in it, though.
there's plenty of movies that we've watched that are way worse than this movie. So
Indeed. All
um
right. I guess I'll go with my rating then. I think I'm gonna do kind of what you did, and I agree that Amazing Spider-Man 1 is probably like a more competent movie, but this one is just a lot more fun and entertaining. And I think that's an important part of a movie should entertain you and keep you engaged. And I think this one at least does a job of doing that, even though it's got like so many problems. It's entertaining the whole way through, like because of that. So I think I'll go ahead and give it. I gave the first one a 2, so I'll give this one a 2.5.
okay.
So I think
Yeah,
that's like a
yeah.
pretty fair. Um, that makes it more like kind of average. And I think a lot of the things about this movie, like are below average, but also like
it's entertaining enough
it's
that it like
entertaining enough.
balances out.
Yes, I think that's
Yeah.
a good way to put it. So I think I'd give it a 2.5. Yeah, it's fun. It's such a mess, but it's got. I can remember dialogue from the movie. I can remember lines from the villains because they're so
Yes.
stupid, but I can remember them. I can't say the same thing for Amazing Spider-Man 1. I can't tell you any dialogue from like any of the characters, especially the Lizard.
I know, and it hasn't been that long since we've watched it.
I know, but it's like I can at least remember lines from like pretty much every single character in this. Because like again, it's like these lines like are so dumb. Gwen Stacy's line I'll always remember is "I break up with you." I break up with you.
I break up
Because
with you.
it's so dumb, but it's like I'll remember it
Yeah.
at least.
That
and I'm entertained.
and like I was watching the American flag, and like you're a fraud, Spider-Man, they're like in my lexicon
Spider-Man,
now.
you baked me a cake. Spider-Man, you baked me a cake.
Yeah, we reference that like all the time.
Yeah.
That line is just insanity. Like that's just...
So, it's got that going for it. So that's my rating. That's our review of Amazing Spider-Man 2. So that concludes like our month of Spider-Man.
Yeah. We liked talking about just a series quite a lot. We don't know when exactly Dustin's gonna show back up. But he said probably in October. I guess we'll just kind of discuss the idea right now. We originally had the idea to do the 5 VHS films, the like found footage anthology film series, and then we kind of I looked today and I was like, oh wait, they're not. We'd have to like rent, or at least you would have to rent the first 3. And I'm not sure if you want to do that or not. I have them on Blu-ray though, and I could let you borrow them.
Yeah, we might end up doing that, but I think we
might try something else.
Yeah,
maybe I'll think of a different series to do. That's because we like doing this series of the Spider-Man films, and we kind of want to continue that idea. But it is going to be kind of hard to do because like some films in a series aren't always like on the same streaming service, or they're scattered, and like some are rental only. So we'll kind of see. We'll discuss it a little further and think about it.
But yeah, I guess when we make a decision, you can put in the description on the choice that we decide to do.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Yeah, I think we'll try to at least do a series, right?
Yeah, and it will probably be something more horror related because it will be October.
Yeah, that was the idea with VHS, and because there's also a new VHS film coming out in October.
Yeah, because we were shooting some ideas, like we talked about. I think we talked about Paranormal Activity because we've done the first one here. So that was true. Like, I don't know if that's like on any streaming sites either, though.
How many are there? Is it
6?
7 including the new one?
I think it's 6 including the new one, right? 4. Then you have marked ones, Ghost Dimension, and then the new one. That's 8.
I meant all in total, including the first one. So that'd be 7, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because there's 8. Yeah, right. I don't know if we get. Aren't there like there's the 4, then marked ones. Yeah, and then Ghost Dimension, then the new one. So 7.
Yeah, so 7 altogether, and we already did the first one.
Yeah, so I don't know if
we could do like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and just ignore the new one because like really wasn't much of a Paranormal Activity movie anyway.
Yeah.
So that might be something. I don't know what streaming service they're on though. Probably Paramount Plus. I wouldn't mind just like getting a Paramount subscription for the month just so we could both use it.
Yeah, it's just like an idea, but It's
Yeah,
going to
we're
be
just
something
gonna.
horror related for October.
Yeah, there's plenty of horror movie series that go past 5 entries to choose from. That's for sure. So yeah, we'll talk about that amongst ourselves. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be fun. Whatever we do, I think will be fun. Uh, so yeah, that's it for the Spider-Man films. At least for now. Maybe we'll like return and do, I don't know, the MCU films and the kind of spin-off movies like Spider-Verse and stuff. But yeah, that's it for now. Uh, yeah, that's it. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace. Hope you guys
Bye.
enjoyed. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.